confuse them because both of them is Robert.
Okay.
But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Robert Sheldon just Sheldon.
Okay, yeah.
Makes sense, right? Not to get confused. So Sheldon arrived on his doorstep, asking if he could again stay at his house for a short period of time. According to Robert, although Sheldon was responsible in paying the rent, he found him an inconvenience. And on April 12th, when he returned home to find Sheldon on the couch, I think he was drunk on the couch. I think I missed that word out. Robert chose to drug him and hold him captive. Just for being an inconvenience. You know, if you're an inconvenience, you tell someone to leave.
Why? Yeah, why held him?
Just say, excuse me, your time is up. No, don't say that. That could seem very threatening. Just say go. Just say get out the fucking house, please.
Yeah, be a bit aggressive. Like shout at them and
just
stuff
say,
like
please,
that.
can you leave? I need my space. I don't fucking know. There's many different ways to do it other than this. Robert said that he never felt any malice or anger towards Sheldon directly, but felt he was someone he could, quote unquote, express some of the anger and frustration that I had toward other people. So he was an inconvenience, but he didn't even feel that strongly about him negatively.
Yeah.
He just felt so strongly negative about other people. He thought, I'll take out my frustration on this guy.
A babe.
Fucking dick. Ugh. By the way, guys, these are all very graphic, and they do kind of get worse.
Oh.
Sheldon was drugged with sedatives and held captive in the second-floor bedroom for 3 days. During the 3 days, he endured numerous forms of torture, such as the swabbing of drain cleaner in his left eye, the insertion... It's fucking horrible. The insertion of needles beneath his fingertips, and the filling of his ears with sealant to reduce his ability to hear.
What the fuck?
And the binding of his wrists with piano wire, which was supposed to damage the nerves in his hands so he couldn't use them.
Oh.
Now, the first time I was reading through these, like, obviously I've read through these notes like so many times. The first time I actually felt so nauseous reading it, and I had to literally just stop reading for a little while because it was just so much.
Oh, that's gruesome. No.
It's fucking horrible. I mean, who comes up with... I mean, again, we always say that we can never think like this, and we do always say, how would you think that? Why would you think that? But that's because we're not fucking psychopaths, essentially. I mean, I'm sure to him it just felt perfectly fucking logical to do it.
Well, here's a theory. Do you think he was thinking of it was a type of an art sort of thing?
Maybe. I mean, he's obviously a creative person, isn't he, with his art stuff that he does.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how fucking twisted it is when he kills the animals. So maybe that is something there. 3 days after Robert had begun holding Sheldon captive on April 15th, a workman was coming to perform some scheduled work on the roof of his house.
Okay.
Robert was a little paranoid and cautious about keeping Sheldon while the workman was there, so he placed a sack over his head, tightened it with a piece of rope, and suffocated him to death.
Jesus Christ.
He later dissected Sheldon's body in the third-floor bathroom. Just take a moment so that all sink in.
Why they was there, or was that before they came?
I think it was just before he arrived.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's just... It takes a moment to digest that information,
yeah.
I think. By the way, this is literally wham bam bam with these now, so...
Oh, right, okay.
This is a long
can I ask,
ride through fucking hell.
What was the gap between the first one and...
I did mention this, I think. April 10th and April 15th.
Wow, so only 5 days apart.
No, sorry. April 10th, 1985 was this one, and July 5th, 1984 was the one before.
Sorry, I've put you off there.
No. The next June, there was a severe thunderstorm, and Robert found Mark Wallace hiding in his tool shed to seek shelter. They'd previously known each other, as Mark had apparently helped Robert out with some gardening stuff a while back, so these were sort of mild acquaintances.
Okay.
Just like he did with Sheldon, Robert invited Mark into his house, and after noticing that he was tense and possibly a little bit depressed, obviously he was stuck in a fucking thunderstorm outside in the rain and shit, so he would look a little glum. Robert volunteered to inject him with chlorpromazine, with the explanation it would calm him down and relax him.
Please don't say he went, yeah, okay.
Mark willingly accepted the offer. Ugh. I mean, never victim blaming.
No.
Any
yeah.
way, shape or form. But if there are things you can do in life to possibly prevent yourself being put in vulnerable situations, allowing someone to inject you with a substance you are unsure of is one of those things you can do.
Yeah. Oh.
There's a British guy as well, right? We'll probably talk about him at some other point in time. But there is a British guy who does something very similar, and the amount of people who allowed him to inject them was ridiculous.
Do I know this one?
No, you don't know it yet. I know it.
Oh, right, okay. Is this for the future episode?
Yeah, but I also did it for a YouTube video that I've got coming out soon.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's crazy. So guys, I mean, I know that chemsex is like a big deal in like the gay world sometimes with some people. I mean, it's not like crazy. I mean, I don't think like everyone's doing it. It's not like, you know, it's not like taking the streets like Lady Gaga. It's not like
it's there though.
It's there. It's a present force, and I think it's not a very good thing.
Each to their own, though. Each to their own.
I mean, if you smoke a bit of weed or pop an E, that's one thing.
What if they do? Just be safe.
Be safe. But how safe can you be if it's with a stranger who you don't know? That's the fucking thing. Especially when you get intravenous drugs. Or drugs of any kind from strangers. Well, then again, I can talk. I used to be a bit of a dick.
Well.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's what they say, right?
I was a goody two-shoes, so it's all good.
I was not. But yeah, just people, if you're listening, be safe, please. We don't want to have to read about you in a future story. So yeah, Mark accepted the offer. Cut to 30 minutes later, Robert's carrying him to the second floor bedroom and tying him to the bed. Mark was kept for 24 hours, and torture included the application of alligator clips to his nipples to facilitate electrical shocks to his body at any point. Robert would use this to wake Mark up if he started to become unconscious from the torture. So even if he started to become unconscious, he would just fucking wake him up from it. So you couldn't even get that moment of peace where you were unconscious. That's fucking horrible. According to Robert, after his experimenting with hypodermic needles by inserting them into various muscles upon his victim's back, Mark Wallace died through a combination of the drugs and the lack of oxygen.
Jesus Christ.
Horrible. Now, this is... Don't look on the screen yet, Alan, but this is one of the pictures that I'm not putting on Facebook. Oh, no. One second. There. Mark Wallace.
Ugh.
Yeah, not in a good state.
Can I just ask a question? Is that on a newspaper?
That is in a book, I believe.
Right, okay.
Okay. Let's put it up. At this point, Robert now looks like this, by the way, just so you know. So he looks like fucking... when Bob Hoskins did fucking Mario Brothers.
I was actually going to say Mario.
Yeah, it looks like fucking... The Bob Hoskins version, though, right?
Yeah.
He could have played Waluigi if there was like a sequel. There was never going to be a sequel.
Waluigi was tall and skinny.
Waluigi. Oh, Wario. Wario. Yeah, Wario. Sorry. My bad. Again, we digress a little bit, but because we are literally going wham bam through these horrible, horrific moidas, I was going to say. Please, I hope you guys appreciate the little break in between. Let's go on to the next one. Fuck this guy. Usually I don't want to be gratuitous and just going through all the grisly details of things. I mean, this podcast isn't about just describing vile, horrible things. If you've listened to any of the other episodes, you'll know it. And like we said on the last one, I think the reason why sometimes, dependent on the situation, it's good to go through them like this is because if you put the name to it and you know, if you, like I said last time, if you say 7 murders, 8 murders,
Yeah.
that just immediately you just see the number. But when you actually hear about it like this and you put the human being to each individual number, it sort of gives you more of an impact of fucking the tragedy of it all.
No, definitely, yeah.
On September 26th, 1985, Robert answered a phone call from an acquaintance named Walter James Ferris, who asked if he could stay for a short period of time. Why do people stay at this guy's house?
Well, they don't know, did he?
No, but I'll show you the inside of it in a minute. It's fucking gross.
Okay.
Robert said yes with a specific intention of kidnapping him. Robert and Walter met at a bar that evening. Weirdly, this is something that he says, right? I don't get this. So please feel free to share your thoughts. Despite what he'd done to the first 3, according to Robert, Walter was the first individual who he actually intentionally inflicted torture. What was he thinking he was doing the other times? Playing?
I don't get it.
Art, like you said? Maybe he was doing an art piece? I don't get that. I don't get that.
I'm a little bit flabbergasted by that.
I've tried. I've racked my brain around it, but I just can't think of what he thought the other thing was doing.
I think it could have been to do with the aspect of it, maybe.
Maybe? Oh, this is an art thing? Maybe this is sex? Maybe that's his sex? Maybe? That shouldn't be anybody's sex.
No, but I really don't know.
It's okay. You're not on trial for it. You don't have to.
I know.
Just a throwaway question. If anyone has any ideas what the fuck that guy could mean about that, let us know.
I am just flabbergasted by him making that comment now.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Well, let's put a pin in that for now, and maybe you can think about that for the rest of the day.
No, yeah, we'll do.
Just like the others, Walter was drugged with tranquilizers. I can find it so hard to say that word. And tied to Robert's bed, where he was tortured on an almost constant basis for approximately 27 hours. This torture included the repeated administering of almost 800-volt electrical shocks administered to the shoulder and the testicles for up to 5 minutes each. And along with that, there was acupuncture via hypodermic needles to the neck and the genitals. Walter gradually became delirious, although Robert continued his physical and sexual assaults until Walter was, in Robert's words, unable to sit up for more than 10 to 15 seconds. Now, in my head, this idea of someone becoming delirious, that just freaked me out. The idea that you would be under so much pain that your mind would sort of go into shutdown mode.
Yeah.
Because it sort of goes into that protective mode, doesn't it? Of like, it tries to it just sends you to a different zone.
It's like adrenaline, isn't it? So you'd be full of adrenaline at first, and then that adrenaline would go, and then you just nothing.
Well, your mind puts you into that state, doesn't it? It's like a state of over shock where like it just tries to protect you from it. Well, essentially,
yeah, that's what
to show up in an image, Alan, that is what that looks like.
Ugh.
By the way, guys, I'm just showing a picture which I won't be putting up on Facebook, but the pictures are available online if you have the fucking stomach to look at them. There are pictures of.
So, has he been taking pictures when he's been doing it then?
Oh, we'll get to that. Well, essentially, yeah. You pretty much know from those pictures, don't you? Yeah, that picture is it's pretty much what we just described, right? And that guy's face is the perfect representation of someone who is delirious from fucking torture.
Jesus Christ.
Alan.
Michael.
I need to tell you a secret.
Oh no, what is it?